It's kind of hard, isn't it, well, I find it kind of hard to write poems about poetry, but this is a poem about a poet, and I enjoyed writing it. It's called Moon Above Castle. How's this for proportionality? The cottage I lived in was back bedroom over back kitchen at the back. At the front bedroom over front room. In the front room, the church fields river reflected over the mantel in a mirror. In the corner of this mirror, a cracked off area, a corner by itself. Mam used the whole mirror, for she was the adult. I used the cracked corner, because this was the child's mirror, and I was the child using this child's corner. My reflection was less vivid than Mam's, but not mute. Dad was away in the war, because this was the time of lamentations caused by Hitler. If you feel I'm stretching the poetics, hang on, you'll understand. In my back bedroom, under my iron-framed bed, Dad's suitcase. Mam instructed it was not to be looked in, so I dragged it out and did. Shirts, pullovers, slippers, with underneath 2 exercise books with descriptions of valleys, mountains, overflowing brooks, and a poem about the moon rising above the castle in the town of Abergavenny, where 5 miles away before the war, before he'd married Mam, he'd lived. You must know that having recently learned to read, I was a critic. And beautiful as Abergavenny was, with 7 surrounding hills, Moon over Castle had too much concord and none of the dissonance of the 24-hour experience of our lives as lived. Where was the realistic symbolism akin to poverty, there never being of nothing any enough our daily theme? Another would be the sink in our back kitchen. The nearest tap was in the street. The sink in our back kitchen was a sink without a tap for pouring water down, a drain. Then the outside lavatory, where I sat on a seat to drop my car down into the bucket, to be taken by Mam to be buried in the garden's fertile ground. Potatoes, opulent beyond boast. Cherries and raspberries, lucid with summer's hope, was domestic. Luscious blackberries mixed with foxgloves, dandelions, snowdrops, violets, was the wild, invading our perimeter with no shame. It was not tame. This fecundity was testament to generations sitting in that outhouse on that seat of grandeur, fitted into its 4 corners, with front cover to hide intestinal disorders. This throne was carpentered in scrubbed beech, light almond colour, and in white shadows was the place to ponder what would happen if Hitler did indeed take over. In darker light, the scrubbed beech changed to cream. The war ended, and for reasons of Mam's adultery, Dad didn't return. So I ripped out his poem, tore it, chucked down the pieces to the car in the bucket, before the suitcase with the exercise books was sent to Dad's mother's house in Abergavenny, again his home. Soon after, Mam and me moved into Abergavenny, to an old house with flushed lavatory and sink with tap we kept spectacularly clean. And though we had a couple of goes of getting to know each other, I didn't like Dad and he didn't like me. When he saw me coming, he'd cross the street, and I didn't wave in the country when I saw his figure bent double forwards before a wind going silly in a wall of trees. Our dislike was partly the recognition of identical shrugs in identical walks caused by similar genes, but he'd also asked for the return of his poem. He'd received back with pages missing, as if my destructive abilities could pass unnoticed, and our crisscross rupture was friendship from start to finish. And the little boy laughed to see such fun. the rigging of beliefs roped to a moon. Look at the moon. It's a scream.